Others who will come back, who will have to abandon their former way of life. I was thinking, as an example, a homosexual. Now, this former homosexual comes back in the resurrection, and he really thought, and he was taught, and he came to believe that God accepted him with that lifestyle. But now he's going to learn about Jehovah's moral standards, and he's going to learn that Jehovah will not lower his standard to accommodate us. We have to come up to Jehovah's standard. Will he change? Will he adjust? It'll be up to him. But you, brothers and sisters, will help such ones to enjoy life eternal. All must learn to walk in Jehovah's righteous ways and willingly choose to do so. But now, what if someone refuses to make the necessary changes? Well, the Watchtower commented on that. It said, after being given ample time, maybe even 100 years, to seek God, some will show that they refuse to practice righteousness. Justly, they will lose life in the new world, as we can see from Isaiah 65, verse 12, which says, "And the sinner will be cursed, even though he is 100 years of age."
YouTube, what's going on?
What's up, y'all? We are back again, and you see the title. You know what we're talking about.
We talking about the homophobic culture and ways of this organization.
And for real, it's not even homophobic culture. It's just straight homophobia.
All the way. And disclaimer for all the Christians out there watching this, well, the Bible says this, or God, listen. We're not Christians, so this don't apply to us.
And the Bible also says other stuff that y'all do.
Like what?
Y'all watch porn, y'all gossip.
And judge people.
I don't want to hear it.
All of that stuff. But somehow they just single on this. So, in a nutshell, if you are a Christian and believe in the Bible, that's fine. That's like an employee handbook to your job. That applies to you and your job. But everybody else that don't work there don't have to follow by that handbook and don't have to believe it. So you can't push them on everybody else. But if that's your thing, go ahead. But we're not religious people, so we can care less who people sleep with.
Okay.
Like, it don't matter to us. Like, we got our own
unless
business.
It's kids.
Yeah, as long as you're not doing no weirdo stuff like that. But if two grown adults, right now, while we're making this video, it's somebody bumping cheeks. I'm sure millions of people right now as we speak. I'm not there to see. I can care less.
People
it's not my
of the
business.
Same sex.
Exactly. And they grown and that's what they want to do. Who cares? But we just want to talk about how drastic and how big they blow this up in this organization, and stick around because we're going to point out the hypocrisy along with it.
Okay. So this little article that we found is pretty funny, especially because it's back from the 1980s. And so their speech in it is just so funny. Okay. An epidemic of homosexuals.
Straight from JW.org too. This is not this ain't no apostate material. This is on JW.org. Right here.
Okay, so it says, in 1970, Dr. Charles W. I don't know what that says, of the Albert Einstein College of Medicine in New York warned that homosexuality was an epidemic growing faster than the 4 major medical diseases. 9 years later, election officials in San Francisco were estimated that nearly 30% of city voters were gay. There are elected officials who openly admit to being gay. There are gay political clubs, gay churches, gay synagogues, and a gay dating service. Oh my God.
As my aunt says, my aunt's in her 70s, and she says, this ain't nothing new. People been doing. She like, people was doing this when we was growing up.
There's somebody in the Bible who was gay.
Well, they say Peter and Jesus was extra friendly. Do you have affection for me, Lord? And that triggers witnesses. People be trying to say that about Jesus. That ain't true. But it's like, men don't talk like that.
Well,
but
David probably was.
but well, that's another story. But you had Sodom and Gomorrah all of this stuff that happened in this so-called book, they can't say crack was an epidemic in the 80s.
Okay.
They act like all of a sudden this uprise. No, especially in today's generation, it's just talked about more. You're not gonna get beat up like you was back in the 80s and the 90s just for, you could be just walking down the street as somebody living an alternative lifestyle and people would beat you up.
Yeah, so
for
before
no reason.
it was concealed. And if something like that got out, then yes, society would literally like physically beat you up. You know what I mean? Because you were like banned from society back then. So now it's just talked about more. People are more open about it. But there was still gay people back then.
It's always been like that.
Yeah.
It's just, you can be yourself now. Yep. And you want to move down to the next paragraph right here?
Okay, yes, this is funny. All right, so by 1982, homosexuals were parading in the streets and claiming 25% of the vote in Atlanta, Georgia. That's hilarious because now it's probably like 50%.
Right.
We live here. We would know. The Institute of Sex Research estimates that 10% of the United States population is gay. Homosexual men and women are coming out of the closet as never before to live openly, says Time magazine. They are colonizing areas of big cities as their own turf, operating bars and even founding churches in conservative small towns, and setting up a nationwide network of organizations to offer counseling and companionship to those gays. Still, the vast majority who continue to conceal their sexual orientation. Like, they aren't talking about them, like
they just trying to, they speak as if they not people minding their business, finding like-minded people so they can have a community.
Their community.
They making it seem like they kicking your door on and taking butt from everybody and just trying to, they just make it sound like they some type of martial law kicking in doors and just trying to convert and trying to, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's people mind. All right, people are over there doing their own thing, and it's like, hey, look at them over there enjoying it. Hey, y'all need to cut that out.
Yeah.
Oh, this is all right, we can be right here doing what we do, and they can be over there in their house doing what they like to do.
And listen, I'm sorry if y'all don't like it, but you can tell even by this that this is a superior white organization, okay? Because they never know how to mind their freaking business. It's the same thing that they did with black people all over the United States who were trying to create their own communities, and they go into their community, flood the town, burn the houses down, burn down their businesses. It's the same vibe that they're having, like the way that they talk. They're colonizing big cities. No, it's because they get to go to these big cities and find more like-minded people that are like them, who are also homosexual and can put out what it is that they want to put out in this business and support each other. What is the problem?
That's it. They can go out and have a good time and ain't got to worry about nobody trying to hurt them.
Yeah.
Let them do that.
Let them do it. That's why there's gay clubs and all kinds of stuff. You know what I mean? Because they want, everybody on this earth wants to have a community to where they feel accepted and understood. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much of a loner you have been your entire life. Our human desire is to connect.
That's it. And we have to understand as humans that if you don't understand something, it's not for you to understand.
Yes.
And leave it at that. I'm attracted to women. I don't know what make a dude look at a dude and like that, but guess what? I don't try to understand it because that's not my vibe. But if that's your vibe, live your life.
Right.
I don't need to understand what you like if you having a good time doing that.
Yeah.
I'm having a good time doing as I please, and you enjoy your life.
Yeah.
And that's how people need to carry themselves. But it's like, I don't like what you doing over there minding your business, and I need to be a part of whatever you got going on. No, you don't. Mind your business.
Mind your business. It is crazy that they put out articles like this, but how about articles of actual terrorist groups that are like, you know, like the KKK or something, and even them, they get to have their own group.
And you know
nobody bothers them.
And you know the hypocrisy? The KKK are also alternative lifestyle people, because if you know about buck breaking, what slave masters used to do to the strong black men, they would tie them down and strip their manhood away in front of everybody to try to claim masculinity over these men. So the main people pushing this hatred against these agendas also live the lifestyle behind closed doors.
I think it's because it's self-hate. Like,
they
hate that they even view themselves that way. You know what I mean? So it's like, we need to stop everybody else from doing it. Like, it's just terrible. Learn to love yourself.
For real. And we got another quote, and then we'll get to cooking. But this is just to point out how they try to cover this stuff up in this organization as if it's just not a real thing. Now this, like many other WOW articles, is in the Young People Ads book.
Oh, the Young People.
It was some wild stuff in there, especially for kids.
Agreed.
For real. Now this is titled, Is Homosexuality Wrong? So just look at this quote. Growing up, one of the most difficult things I had to deal with was my attraction to others of the same sex. I used to think it was just a phase, but those feelings plague me still. David, 23. David is a Christian who wants to please God. Can he do that while feeling attracted to those of the same sex? How does God really feel about homosexuality? Now just pay attention to what he said. He thought it was just a phase, but it's something that plagues him still.
Yeah.
That's who you are.
That's who you are. And trying to live against that is probably so difficult for him because he's constantly being told that it's wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like the way that they equate it is basically like pedophilia. Like that's the same level that they equate like homosexuality. Like it's that wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so the people who are living in that way, but okay, nowhere do you see pedophilia normalized, okay?
Never.
But homosexuality is something that has become more and more open and normalized and accepted. So imagine living in that kind of body and having those kinds of feelings in a world where it is accepted.
For real.
And still trying to push it down and suppress it.
Because especially if there's a whole community that you could go be a part of, because it's something a person wants to do.
Yeah.
It's not like these people are harming anybody.
Yeah.
It's two like-minded individuals
Coming together.
That's it. And they minding their business. They not taking advantage of people. They just living their life.
Yeah.
And it's to brainwash people to feel like it's something wrong with them and not just being authentic.
Yeah.
And we'll even get furthermore on the hypocrisy because we all notice some of this stuff inside of Kingdom Halls.
Oh, most definitely. So basically within the Kingdom Hall, they talk about this a lot, you know, and they mostly are talking about it indirectly through talks, through comments, you know, people will talk about it. There's always like some brother or sister that's like fixated on like homophobia.
For real.
And they make any kind of like any one of their comments about like homophobic people or I mean about gay people, and it just shows their homophobia. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just crazy the way that happens. Even how Brother Let did, okay, at the beginning, and I'm pretty sure that talk had come after his nephew, you know, passed away. And that's the crazy part about that. That's why people were so upset about it, because it's like it showed a complete lack of empathy. He's basically saying like, okay, yes, my nephew took his own life and may think that he is going to come back, but he's not. You know, because if he chooses that kind of path.
That's it. And I like how you mentioned that, because I forgot every hall would have that certain brother. It don't matter what the conversation was about, he would always bring it back here and go on a rant. And it's just like,
are you okay?
Bruh, like, are you struggling with something? Like, where is this coming from?
Yes, and a lot of that came also from whenever they made the tight pants rule. Remember Tony Morse's iconic tight pants thing, and he was talking about, didn't he say something about metrosexuals or something like that? Yeah, so they try to indirectly talk about things like that, like, oh, brothers don't wear tight pants and don't wear bright colored suits.
Yeah, and the hypocrisy comes now because there was I'm talking about everybody knows certain brothers that since he's a Jehovah's Witness, you're gonna overlook it. But it'd be like, really? You would look at people's demeanors, certain the way they carry themselves, the way they may move their hands certain ways when they talk, and it's like this brother is obviously living an alternative lifestyle, or at least want to, and he's just being a Jehovah's Witness instead.
There was so many people like that, and I used to feel so bad for them too, because it's like they obviously cannot live in their truth, and some of these brothers would have full-on families, like kids, a wife, everything, and have complete opposite roles. Like we knew a family like that where the mom was the one who did like all of the outdoor work and things like that.
Yep.
And it worked for them, you know what I mean? But it fed into the idea that maybe he
was like that,
you know, because he was the one who cleaned and like cooked and stuff, you know what I mean? So like it's one thing if that just works for your relationship, but if you have this in combination with having other tendencies that make you look gay, then yes, you're gonna think that, you know. He was always the brother too, getting in trouble for the bright colored outfit. So it was a thing in the congregation where people believed that about him, you know, and that's why the brothers would kind of single him out about his colorful shirts.
That's messed up.
It is messed up.
Messed up part is because somebody obviously is struggling with something and they want to live their truth, but they can't.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening, everybody just ignores it with these brothers. Like, oh no. I remember I told the story about the brother that actually got in trouble because his wife was complaining that she caught him with a man and he was going to these parties and the elders were his family members, so they swept it under the rug, and it wasn't until he got caught messing with an undercover cop in the park and it was on the news, that's what it took for him to get in trouble and for everybody to be like, oh snaps. But till this day, the brother came back and that story is swept under the rug, like he ain't like that no more.
Wow.
And it's like he one of the coolest brothers, like he would throw parties and stuff like that, but when you meet him, you like, this dude is kind of, but it's like the fact that everybody just pretends like, no, that's not it. And they force people like this to marry women, and it's not fair to the brother. It's not fair to the wife.
No, it is not. That's not fair.
No.
That's not fair, because then you get into a whole other realm of like, of discrepancies, you know what I mean, in that relationship. Like, oh, he never wants to touch me. Like, we're never intimate. Like, you know, that kind of thing. And it's because that's not what he's attracted to. Like,
and that's just what it is. But Christianity has this thing of just pray the gay away. And we all say that God made me this way. God, you know, God did this, and that. God controls our destiny. All right, well, if this is how a person is, why are you trying to get them to... If anything, if God didn't want you to be that way, he would just strip it out of you. But you shouldn't have to keep pleading and be like, God, make this go away. Like, no, obviously, on this journey of life, this is who you are to be.
Yeah, I don't know.
And you're not hurting nobody.
I don't know what my ideas are in that regard, like whether it was supposed to be or not supposed to be. But the reality of it is that that's what it is now. You know what I mean? So, like, to condemn somebody for the rest of their lives for choosing a life like that is just crazy to me, because it doesn't take away from who the person is. You know what I mean? So why do you care about who they're sleeping with? Why do you care about who they're deciding to share a life with? You know what I mean? Like,
especially if it brings a person happiness.
Yes,
everybody wants to be happy.
Consenting adults.
That's it. If going against this makes you unhappy and you being forced to do it, that's not living.
No,
that's not living life. But if doing this here, like you said, and no two people are consenting to it, and it brings a person completeness and wholeness and happiness and peace, we should be supportive of somebody having happiness, as long as they're not hurting people.
There's been other channels too that have debunked whether it was actually said like that in the Bible, where it was like man should not lie with man, because I think there was other channels that showed like it said man should not lie with boy or something like that. So it was showing like don't be with minors versus not the whole gay thing. You know what I mean? But who knows? I haven't studied it, so don't quote me. But I'm just saying, like, that's another idea that I have seen thrown out.
Yeah, and what's the hypocrisy on another level is a lot of the leaders in these organizations and religions participate in it. These priests, these pastors, these reverends, a lot of elders, a lot of these brothers, they condemn everybody else for doing it, but they be doing it.
Yeah, we were just talking about before making this video. My sister was like, oh, Lex, like, have you watched that one show? There's some show called My Husband Is Not Gay. And it's literally like these men that are married to women who are attracted to other men.
And that's just live your truth.
Yeah, and they openly talk about it. Like the one episode, there was a waiter that came to the table, and it was like two couples, and the men were talking. The men were like, they were like gay. You know what I mean? You could tell by their mannerisms and like just how they were speaking. And when the waiter guy came to the table, after he left, the wife looked at them, was like, did you guys notice anything? And the husband like chuckled and was like, he was very attractive. And I was like,
but that's how these how these marriages go, and these religions sometimes they just ignore it or pretend that it's not a thing. But people should just be able to be who they are.
yeah, that's the truth.
You know, something that trips me out, you hear more articles, more comments, more talks about people not being able to be gay than you hear about people shouldn't be pedophiles. I heard my whole time as a Jehovah's Witness, it wasn't until that meeting we went to where we had that article about pedophilia. Yeah, that was the first. I was just like, this is random. This before we woke up.
And it makes sense why they were the ones that were out there protesting that day, because they knew it was that watchtower.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so it's like you rarely hear anything. And then this is another thing. They will talk about a brother can't be this way and come back and be welcomed into Jehovah's organization, but they can pray it away and go against it. But a pedophile that's not a mistake or a one-time thing. They are welcomed back into this organization, no jail time, and they are actually hurting people that don't want to participate in these nefarious activities. Non-consent, but they are welcomed back into this organization, and we just pretend, oh, it's okay, and this brother can still be a part of this organization. No, that's not how this stuff works. But they do not hammer down on pedophiles in Jehovah's organization.
No, and that's what has been such a big problem in the last decade, 2 decades, you know what I mean, is that exactly. So the fact that they hammer down so hard on gay people, you know, where, again, 2 consenting adults, and that's a problem, but not, just like you said, people who are actually hurting others and their family and causing trauma and all kinds of things. Like, that's a bigger problem. Just now are they starting to put out more articles about pedophilia because of the lawsuits and everything. And it's not even an article that's completely about it. They just mention it. Yeah. Mention it within the paragraph.
And that's it. But it's not an in-depth. You know how they warn about apostasy or certain things that have been issues in the organization and how they hammer down? There hasn't been a real article where they hammer down on how to deal with these brothers or how often this happens in these congregations. It's still kind of swept under the rug with the conversations.
Yeah. And another part that is also very messed up about it is that they cause such deep levels of self-hatred in these people who are struggling with that kind of thing. They truly believe, they already at baseline, a lot of them feel like something is wrong with them. You know what I mean? Because it's something that's going against the grain. So then to also be in an environment that's telling you, like, God does not approve of this. Just think about how traumatizing the Jehovah's Witness organization already is for basic normal people, you know what I mean? People like heterosexual people, okay?
Right.
And then that just adds a whole other level to it, a whole other layer, because people who are outside of the organization struggle with being able to come out of the closet.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
What I was thinking, how you even brought up, like, with heterosexual people, you fight the temptation, say if you're not married, to bump cheeks. But the only thing is there's an outcome. At some point, you can bump cheeks, because this is something that's stirring up inside of you that you want to do, but you're not allowed to do it. Yeah. But it's like, but at least once I'm married, I can do this. Yeah. But the difference is with these people, what they are battling inside, there's no outlet at all. No. There's no, all right, but at least at some point I can live what I want to do. No. You can never ever be yourself.
Yes, and that just causes, like I said, like the self-hatred and even more fear, because now if they're trying, like, I remember they used to try to get brothers who we knew were gay, okay? Like the women knew that they were gay, but they would try to get them hooked up and paired up with other sisters, you know what I mean? Especially the young ministerial servant guys, but you knew what they were, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's just so uncomfortable, and I can only imagine how uncomfortable it is for them.
Yeah, having to pretend.
Yes,
Yeah.
and pretend to like something that you do not.
Yeah.
And then to also feel like you can't even be open with your partner who you're supposed to be the closest to, because what else is that going to add? Like, she might go to the elders and tell on you, you know, like, who knows? Like,
yeah. So we seeing a lot of brothers that dealt with that. A lot of them just keep on putting up a fight, or they might live a double life.
Mm-hmm.
They might take their life, or some of them we done seen, they just say, forget it, I'm out, and they leave and they go live their truth.
I'm happy for people that do that,
For
because
real.
then at least they get to start living their life. There has been many people who have ended theirs prematurely because they just couldn't mentally deal with the fact that they were living in this kind of truth, you
Facts.
know, in an environment that obviously did not want that to happen.
For real. So once you become open-minded and you leave this organization, you root for everybody who's becoming their own individual, because we all different. We see people that were super spiritual in that sense, witnesses. Now they got piercings and they do stuff with their hair, they color it, and it's like do that.
Yeah.
Or you see other people that you may not have known were living an alternative lifestyle, but now they are, and it's like, shoot, well, at least you get to be accepted by the people around you, instead of having everybody around you only being your friend because you faking it. But now you get to be yourself, and you get to have true friendships. Like, we root for everybody that's living their truth now.
Yes, because there's a different level of like glowing that happens in a radiant. You could see it in a person whenever they become more radiant. They don't look dull anymore, and it's because they get to live their true, authentic self, and they're not trying to. So that suppression and everything is so heavy in a human body and on a human. It makes them depressed. It makes them look dull, and when they get to start living their truth, like it comes out. You can see it. You can see the difference. You know.
You do. But that's something we wanted to talk about, because lately we've been noticing a lot of people in the comments that's saying like they finally get to come out and be who they really are, and it's like, do that.
We have been seeing a lot of comments like that lately, and hey, and these are people who, like the one lady, she said she was married for 17 years or something like that.
I think so.
I don't know. She was married for a long time, and then she finally got to live her true queer life, you know. So like just being able to see these people coming out and getting to be themselves, like, we're happy for you.
Yep, live your life. Long as that's our motto. Long as you're not hurting nobody, live your life, and you find the happiness, go for it.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
it. Yep,
Yeah,
but
life's too short.
Real stuff. We just wanted to talk on that topic. Let us know what y'all think in the comments too, and I'm sure everybody got stories of friends or brothers or elders that they just knew, you know, was a certain type of way. Or even sisters too, certain sisters that never pursued to get married and has. Wait, before we leave, it was an older. I never thought of this until my cousin is woke had mentioned. It was these two older sisters at this hall. They was like elderly, but they lived together as roommates. And the one was a little studdish, kind of looking back. But my cousin made a joke like, oh, there's a lot of people that was like that, like sister so and so and sister whoop de woo. Like, we're gonna pretend they wasn't a couple. And then when I forgot all about them, and I was like, they do give off that vibe. They wasn't married, they was old, they didn't have kids, and it was like they had been roommates for years. And it's not like they was poor, like they lived in a nice area at the rich hall. Why y'all two sisters living together for? We know why.
Companionship.
Yeah, companionship. For real.
What's wrong with
For real, they was having a scissor concert every night. But yeah, let us know what y'all think in the comments. Like always, hit us on our Instagram at Awaken Truth IG, and help us get to 1,000 followers on TikTok so we can start going live. That's at Awaken Truth LLC. What else we got?
We have our healing journals. We have the normal version and the PMO version, of course, for our PMOs that watch us.
For sure.
So if you want to heal and move on, go ahead and get that. That will be linked in our bio. You told them about the Instagram already?
Yep.
Oh, so that's it then. We are going to the protest. Finally bought our tickets.
Yep.
So that's on September 13th. We will be there at the Shun No More protest. If y'all are going to be there, that'd be great. We'll get to meet you. We're excited for that. And I think that's about it.
That's it.
Okay, so don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And we will catch y'all in the next one.
Peace.